Hello, good evening. As we begin our countdown to this year's Formula One World Final, I'm going to chat to one of the overseas drivers racing under NZ3, Mitch Vickery. Evening, Mitch.
Hey mate, head on.
Very good. I'm enjoying your very scenic backdrop. It looks very nice where you sat.
Yeah, just up here at Wayman Racing. I think actually there got a few race cars in the barn behind me there, and not my car, thankfully. One's in the shed right now, getting painted up, almost ready. That's Frank's car over there though. That hasn't been touched in the week and a half I've been here, so probably be a late night in the next few nights.
He enjoys working late at night, though, doesn't he? That's what I've heard.
Seems to be how it works up here. Yeah.
So Mitch, we spoke at Bradford and kind of said, would you be all right just have a chat with us pre-world final? He's like, yeah. So you have been in the UK quite a while and obviously raced at Bradford on that Saturday. How was that? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was good. I only just got here on the Friday and bit of work on the car, but it was a bit of a last minute rush to Bradford, but it was good to get those laps and get the feel for it. Just quite different racing here, both cars and driving style and whatnot. Being out by the end of that meeting was going good and was feeling good about it actually.
Yeah, obviously there, and as the meeting progressed, you did get noticeably quicker and faster as the meeting went on.
Yeah, for sure. I was just trying to really take it easy at the start and not wreck anything, just get the feel for it. But I probably learnt a little bit there actually, and sort of the back wheels being exposed here compared to back home. Sometimes trying to make the passes nice and that coming off the corners, can't really do that here so much. You end up clipping the wheel with the bumper and getting yourself in trouble. So by the end of the meeting, I was getting the feel for that, and yeah, it was a couple of issues with the car as well, which was good to sort out. Then get it all prepped up, ready for the final.
Yeah. Did you do Sheffield the next day? I couldn't go to Sheffield. Did you do Sheffield?
Nah, I didn't do Sheffield. We did talk about doing it, but I just didn't see too much benefit in it with the world final being on tarmac, and already had quite a lot of work I wanted to change on the car, so I just thought, save the damage, post some wire in there. It's pretty tight track, doesn't take much to wreck it, and I just really want to get the car 100%. We're off to Skegness tomorrow, so I think that's more valuable for me, getting those laps on the tarmac.
Yeah. And have you been over to the UK before this year?
Yeah, I come over in 2019. Didn't actually plan to race, just come over here for a holiday. And I did have a skid in Carl Hawkins' car at Kings Lynn there. But I wasn't really prepared or anything, to be honest, and I didn't fit the car too good. So there's a lot better this time round, but better prepared and getting comfortable.
So you mentioned kind of some of the differences from racing in New Zealand to racing here, and you kind of found that out at Bradford. But what is the biggest difference? I guess people that don't necessarily watch New Zealand stock cars, and obviously there's a similarity in terms of its full contact. But what is the biggest difference?
Yeah, to be honest, it's massively different. Main two things for me, really. One being the cars, that as far as driving them, is just the seating position. My car at home, the engine and gearbox is down one side, so my feet are straight out in front of me, pedals right beside each other. I find it super comfortable. It feels like home for me, driving that car. Then I come here and the seats lay back a long way. Not a lot of leg room in that gearbox between your legs. So although this obviously each car here is different also. So this car that I'm driving didn't have a lot of foot room, but this week we've cut and lowered the floor 4 inches, so it's a lot better now. But I did struggle at Bradford with that. My knees were hard up on the steering wheel basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, the actual cars, it's just quite hard to adapt to that, and the handling of the cars. The cars here have a lot more power than at home, probably got 150 to 100 more horsepower here, and they don't handle anywhere near as good. At home, there's no rules about what suspension and shocks and brakes and that we can run at home. So we're a lot more advanced in the kind of suspension, which means the car's totally different to drive. So that's kind of the car side. And then the racing, I guess for those who haven't watched New Zealand racing, our cars have the bumpers, or the Nerf rails I call them here, continue right round the back wheels. So we can come off the corner and kind of slide into people, slide them into the wall and pass them. Whereas obviously here, if you're passing coming off the corners, you've got to be very careful that you don't tangle your tyres. Just a really different driving style there. I guess the contact here is kind of straight bumper to bumper, whereas in New Zealand, you can kind of hit them anywhere on the side of the car, so you can just dive into the corners a lot easier than here. It's just quite different driving style in that way.
Yeah. From the bits I've seen of New Zealand racing, it does look quite brutal at times.
Yeah, I think it's hard to show it with a video. A lot of the video clips you see is kind of the biggest crashes, it's like a highlight reel, so it doesn't always show the actual racing. And I think you probably see a lot more of the teams racing videos than the individual racing, which is kind of two completely different things. Our teams it can be brutal for sure, but even teams racing nowadays has changed a lot, and it's very technical, and there's a lot of rules, although there's still the big crashes in that. I think people here kind of picture it as banger racing. You're just smashing everyone, but when you see it in real life, it's 100% not like that. The cars are really fast. The racing's very technical, and probably a lot of the game, I guess, is reading the races, knowing where the other team, who's winning from the other team, and yourself, your own team, knowing who is where in terms of the race, and also knowing another important thing is to know how many laps you've done in the race, because, for example, if I'm in third place and there's only 2 laps to go, I need to slow down and take the other car out,
Yeah.
because my teammates haven't got it done yet. Whereas if you're halfway through the race, well, you might, yeah. So it's just really hard to know. Or I guess, hey, if I was 3 laps down, there's no point starting to race when there's only a lap to go. So it's a lot of technical kind of thinking. Our individual racing at home, generally the championship's actually quite clean. Not it's similar driving here as far as just pushing people into the corners and that passing. It's normally later in the night. We run a different system, so our championships is run over 3 heats. So the third heat, we've all seen the points. We know who's the highest point scorers heading into the last race. That's when it can get quite brutal. Club mates helping each other, and friends on the track. And the other, I guess, a big thing is in New Zealand, if you're not winning, you'll slow down and wait and take the other people out. Whereas over here, it's kind of I think it's a bit of an unwritten rule, but it's like a respect thing. If you're not on the lead lap, you don't hit them. In New Zealand, if you're not on the lead lap, the idea is to hit them, so it's the opposite. Yeah.
Yeah. So last year before the World Final, I spoke to Stu Russell, like who does something similar over there, and he was kind of talking about the fact that, is that unwritten rule in English stock cars that we don't take people out from a lap down, and but you guys absolutely do. It's kind of what you do.
Yeah, for sure. I guess that's what makes stock cars in New Zealand. It's changed a little bit now. Like I say, it's a lot more kind of friends helping on the track. But in previous years, I guess in New Zealand we register to a club, not like here. So the letter on our cars indicates which club we're registered to, and so at those championships, it was just club versus club rivalries. So if my club mate was up on points and I wasn't, I'd do everything I can to make sure that someone from my club takes the trophy home. And over the last few years, clubs have changed a lot at home. For example, I live in Taranaki, but I registered to the Kiki track. That's about 2 hours away from me. Stratford track's actually only 30 minutes away. But so a lot of people register to a track not where they live for various reasons. And yeah, that's changed it quite a lot now. The club rivalries dropped off a little bit, and it's more just mates and alliances, I guess, helping on the track.
Brilliant. Thank you, Mitch. It's great insight into racing in New Zealand. So you stayed up at Frank's, you're still there, and it just sounds like you've been quite busy and taking the World Final very seriously from a car prep, wanting to do well point of view.
Yeah, for sure. Pretty much, I got here last week on Friday, and other than going racing at Bradford and watching Sheffield, haven't done much else. Just been working on the car flat out here. So we've chopped the floor out and lowered that to make the car more comfortable, which turns into quite a big job. We had to redo the exhaust system, make a whole new floor, redo all the pedals, redid half of the electrical in the car, put all new brakes in it, all new shocks and springs, remounted the alternator. Just a lot of work. modifying the car, just tidying things up, maintenance, checking it over. Yeah, trying to give myself the best opportunity, I guess. And Randall Terrence just arrived today, actually, so we've been working on his car. Got all our tyres have arrived, fitted them up. We're pretty much set to go, to be honest. Randall's ready. My car, like I say, just getting painted and getting ready for Skegness tomorrow. So it's going to be a big learning curve for us. Neither of us have driven tarmac before, so yeah.
Do you think that puts you at a bit of a disadvantage going into the World Final with being on tarmac?
Yeah, definitely does. I haven't driven it yet to tell you what it's like, but for the Kiwis coming here, it is really hard to compete. Like I was saying, the cars here are totally different to drive, and then the tarmac thing makes it so much different again. I think we're maybe a little bit better now than we were 10 years ago because the racing at home has kind of changed. Our cars have gotten faster and more horsepower, and the dirt tracks at the big meetings are starting to get very slick and black. Yeah. So we actually, at the big championships, we actually have to drive our cars quite straight and smooth and square. Like our dirt racing's never like your shale racing. The shale here is kind of always quite wet and slippery, and the cars, you just throw them in and they're always really sideways. So I guess the New Zealand driving style's halfway between shale and tarmac now, whereas I would say 10 years ago, the New Zealand driving style was the same as what you race on shale here. So probably a little bit better now. But yeah, the tarmac thing adds definitely an extra challenge.
But it does sound like, A, you're looking forward to it, and B, you've kind of enjoyed, all the way you've done on the car to give you that best chance on Saturday.
Yeah, for sure. There's no, you're not complaining at all. Just stoked to be here and really looking forward to it. And I wouldn't go into a New Zealand championship at home without working on my car. So I kind of wouldn't come here and not work on my car. I want to know it's right and know it's how I want it. So yeah, it's been a good big effort, but it'll be really looking forward to getting in it and hoping it all works out.
And then due to like the COVID restrictions, unfortunately, you guys haven't been able to come over for the last couple of years. But it seems quite a big contingent of New Zealand drivers come over this year.
Yeah. When I was here in 2019, there was a lot of us too, actually. And then, like you say, with COVID, it put a bit of a stop to it. Got 4 of us. Yeah, which is good. I think compared to previous years, perhaps struggled to get a couple of us here. So seems to be building up a bit in New Zealand with the amount of people wanting to come here. In 2019, I can't even remember how many there was, but there's actually heaps of us here. The 4 in the World Final, but there's a whole group of us that were actually just over here having a bit of a holiday and ended up racing. The Levines were actually here in 2019 also, not in the World Final. They hired the Matt Newson cars. Blair Eulenberg was here. I was here. We had Jaden Ward, William Humphreys, Jordan Dare. There's probably almost 10 of us here then, so it was really getting going. Yeah, hopefully in future we could maybe it would get back to that. Just the flights are very expensive, and that at the moment probably holds it back a little bit.
Yeah, of course. And in terms of the World Final weekend, we've got Mildenhall on the Friday, Ipswich Saturday, and then Northampton on the Sunday. Are you planning on doing all 3, or just sort of the Ipswich, or?
Yeah, I'm giving Mildenhall a miss. I was originally going to do that, but I just want to get the car set up for tarmac this week and then leave it, really. I don't want to swap it back. Frank had offered his other car, but I wasn't too fussed on it, to be honest. Like I said, I just really wanted that tarmac experience. I think that's the main thing for me. And I was also just a little bit worried that trying to get used to this car, which is already a challenge, then I'm going to jump into another car, which is different feel and, the pedal positions and all that. It's different again, it's kind of upset things before the World Final. I just thought I'd just rather sit back and watch. And I'll definitely do Sunday Northampton. I'm racing the same car for shale and tarmac, so we'll do the tarmac meeting, swap it back for shale the next day.
Yeah. And when do you guys go home? Is it kind of after this weekend?
Yeah. So after this weekend, I've got a few days catching up with my partner's family here, heading down to Malvern, and then heading off after that. I'm not sure. I think Randall's hanging around a little bit, but pretty much straight out of here. I've been here for, like I say, a couple of weeks, so good amount of time here.
Need to get some sightseeing in this time as well. We'll stop working on stock cars and go and look at stuff.
Yeah, I haven't really looked at much, actually. I went to Bellevue and watched the bikes. That was about as sightseeing as it got. But, it'd be good to chill out a little bit in the coming days this week and just relax a bit before the final and yeah, the days after as well. Hopefully have a little bit of a look around, but spent quite a bit of time here in 2019 when I was over and travelled around Europe and that. So I was just really trying to focus on the racing this trip, to be honest.
Yeah, lovely. And before I let you go and help Frank fix some cars and do some other things, World Finals obviously Saturday. You've got quite a lot of British drivers in that race, and you're familiar with the racing. Do you have any sort of predictions on who you think is going to take the title?
I think it's anyone's race, really. There's a lot of good cars in the front row, and so I haven't driven on the tarmac, but I think Weaver's not looking too good either, which could change it quite a lot. I think anyone in those front two rows has as good a chance, as well as people further down. There's plenty of stock car races being won from the back.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's interesting to say about the weather forecast. I had a quick look on my phone before when I got in tonight. It's like a bit of rain, which makes it very unpredictable at Ipswich. I think it could change the course of the race.
Yeah, I was just chatting to Frank about that this morning, actually, about kind of what the rain does when I know you guys don't rain off here, so what's it like racing on that? And from what he's telling me, the main thing is actually just the vision, just the water spray off the tyres and that. Sounds quite horrible, actually.
Yeah, there's no windscreen wipers. It doesn't work.
I did joke to Frank about that. I said, well, why don't we go and get some Perspex and jimmy up a window wiper, and we might be looking quite good when it rains.
Absolutely. Mitch, thank you very much for your time this evening. I'll see you on Saturday, but good luck if I don't on Saturday, the World Final, and have a fantastic weekend. Thank you very much.
Awesome, mate. Cheers for talking.
Cheers. Thank you.
Yeah, buddy.